Welcome back to our Steven. Today, we've got a crazy update-filled saga of someone finding out that their boyfriend tampered with their birth control, and it all starts with a post titled, "My 22-year-old female, birth control was tampered with by my boyfriend, 22-year-old male, I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do." Original post, September 9th, 2025. My boyfriend, 22-year-old male, and I, 22-year-old female, have been together for 3 years. We were high school friends, grew apart, ended up going to the same college, similar majors, reconnected. You can guess the rest. We've been on the rocks lately. Our lifestyles just don't align very well, and sometimes he treats me more like a mother than a partner. I am losing patience. He's an only child and kind of a massive mama's boy. His mom is nice enough, just very traditional. Until recently, I don't feel like I've had a reason to distrust her. He confides in her a lot about our relationship, sometimes an uncomfortable amount. For the past couple of months, I feel like she's been trying to plant seeds in my head about having kids when I'm alone with her. Some examples: the joy of motherhood is like nothing else. You'll understand someday. I know it's hard right now. You know, a baby might bring you closer. My husband and I fought constantly until we finally had boyfriend's name. Once you have a baby, everything else falls away. They're little miracle workers. You know, fatherhood changes people. I think boyfriend's name just needs to experience it. That last one, in regards to his irresponsibility and lack of accountability for housework. I'm on the pill. I've been trying to get on different forms of birth control that don't require constant effort, like an IUD, injections, arm implant, but I haven't been able to decide which one is right for me. My birth control comes in a blister pack, but I usually pop a week's worth into a pill organizer so I can just take it with my other medications. I don't bother taking the sugar pills you're supposed to take during the week of your period. I keep the empty blister packs with the leftover sugar pills in my nightstand because I'm weird about throwing things away sometimes. What if I need it later mentality I picked up from growing up in a doomsday prepping household. Thanks, Dad. I feel incredibly stupid for that now. A couple of weeks ago, I missed my period, took a pregnancy test, saw the dreaded second line, and proceeded to freak out. Boyfriend was at work when I found out, so I called him immediately. I told him we needed to talk and that it was urgent. He didn't want to come home at first, since we're not in a great situation financially. I started bawling and begging, and I think he realized I was serious. When he got home, I was sitting on the bathroom floor. I was a wreck, cried so hard I vomited. Anyways, boyfriend gets back to our apartment, finds me on the floor, and as soon as he sees the pregnancy test, he freaking smiles. His face lit up, and I saw red. No acknowledgement of the state I was in. The first thing he said to me besides, "What's going on?" was, "Oh my God, baby, this is great." I wanted to put my head through the wall. I tried to explain to him through snot and tears and spit that no, this was not great. We're both full-time students with jobs. I can't take time off. I have a ton of unresolved health issues. We can barely afford the roof over our heads. I hate the idea of getting an abortion. I'm all for it when it's someone else. Just for me, I don't know if I can bring myself to do it. He left me to cool down in the bathroom for a while. I told him to get out, and I saw one of my freaking blister packs in the bathroom trash can. We don't use it very often, so we only empty it once in a while. I threw away the pregnancy test, it knocked aside a wad of toilet paper, and a silver foil caught my eye. I dug through the trash, and I found 7 of my regular freaking birth control pills at the bottom of the trash bag. I can't believe he not only did this to me, but also was so incredibly careless. It's like he barely tried to hide it. I can't tell if he wanted me to find out or if he just genuinely doesn't have anything knocking around inside his cranium besides a few rocks. I had been racking my brain trying to figure out how this could have happened. I am so diligent about taking my meds. I feel so freaking stupid. So stupid. The sugar pills are literally a different freaking color. I take like 7 pills in the morning and unceremoniously dump them into my mouth. I definitely didn't look closely at them. He didn't give me a reason to think that I had to. He hadn't said anything about kids. I could tell he was kind of trying to be better about his responsibilities lately. I thought things were finally starting to look up when it came to the state of our relationship. We have access to each other's phones. I think he probably checked my Fitbit app to find out when I was ovulating, since I tracked my period there. I don't know how else he could have known. I think I remember a few times that I would unlock my phone and find the app open, but I thought nothing of it. I confided in a few close friends about all of this, told them everything, what he did, how I think he did it, how I think his mom might have told him to, how freaking devastated I am, and how stupid I feel. In essence, they told me I need to grow a spine, leave him, stop going crazy, and figure my crap out and decide what to do. Now a part of me feels like I might be overreacting. I'm staying with my parents right now. They don't know what's going on. They're kind of religious and I'm not exactly sure about how they feel about abortion. I don't want to bring it up because I don't know how they'll react. Boyfriend has been texting me nonstop, telling me to calm down and come home and talk to him. I'm so freaking lost. Sorry if this is a mess. I'm not proofreading. I don't have the bandwidth right now. Quick edit. I'm terminating. I'm chronically ill. I would have an extremely risky pregnancy and I don't want to bring a kid into this environment. I've made an appointment, but I'm still so scared. I also had my friend gently prod my ex over text about what happened, and he didn't even have to do much. He bent immediately, saying he needed to get it off his chest and that he feels like a terrible person. He is. I am leaving that dang scumbag scourge on my life far behind me. He just doesn't know it yet. So that's the end of the original post, and there are plenty of updates to come, don't worry. I just have to say, the main thing that was running through my head is I know it's a hot button topic. I will leave deciding whether it's right or wrong what decision OP made here in your hands. But I'm trying to clarify something in my own mind here, which is this not a years-long sentenceable crime that this man just committed? Is it not essentially close to, if not, the R word? I feel like it has to be to some degree some form of like SA, is it not? In the comments of the post, one commenter wrote, "I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is a form of SA. He's trying to force you to carry a child to term, birth it, and raise it all without your consent. This is not a safe person to have in your life, nor is he safe to raise a child. Him and his mom." Your description of his mom makes me think that they did this together, or it was her idea. A word of advice, if you do decide to terminate, tell him you miscarried. He doesn't deserve the truth, and you don't deserve whatever terrible response he and his mom would direct your way. You need to put yourself first and decide what you want your life to be. Good luck, OP. Another commenter wrote, 100%. OP, this man committed a pretty serious crime against you. You are not overreacting. I understand the guilt aspect of not wanting to have an abortion, and that's a super valid way to feel. However, it's worth considering that if he was willing to commit an act of violence to keep you with him and doing what he wants, you really don't know what he's capable of. And you really don't know what his mother is capable of. It's common knowledge that you should not bring a child into a relationship that's struggling. It's a hard thing to do even in a strong relationship. And you don't want to condemn a child to a life with these people either. You don't want to be tied to this man and his mother for the rest of your life. There are literally millions of men out there who could give you a child when you were ready, willing, and most importantly, aware of what was happening. I promise you deserve so much better than this. Another commenter suggested to the OP, if you're in a single-party consent state or country, record him admitting it and report him to the police. What a freaking monster. The OP replied, I'm in Illinois. It's an all-party consent state. I have a really close mutual friend with him that I've known since childhood. I'm gonna ask if he would be willing to gently prod boyfriend via text to try and get an admission and explanation. Both because I plan on filing a police report once I figure out how, and because I feel like I need to know exactly what happened. I don't know if I'll get that closure. We'll see. Then, the same day, 5 hours later, the OP went to r/legal advice and posted there, my boyfriend tampered with my birth control without my knowledge or consent, and now I'm pregnant. Can I go to the police? September 9th, 2025, same day, 5 hours later. Location, Illinois. My boyfriend swapped my normal birth control with sugar pills. I have some physical evidence of the tampering, the pills he threw away, and the screenshots of him admitting that he did it, and an explanation of how he did it via texts he sent to my friends. Does this warrant going to the police? I don't even know where to start or what I would say. In the comments, one person wrote, "Not a lawyer, this is called reproductive coercion. There are specific laws against this in some jurisdictions, but still might be actionable in other jurisdictions. You at least have grounds for a civil suit." A second commenter wrote, "Not a lawyer. Yes, you can always go to the police. There's no harm in talking to the police to see if they'll file charges." Some argue that it's a form of SA because it violates consent. You would not have hooked up with him had you known the truth. But I don't believe that Illinois has a specific law concerning this. It also goes by the name reproductive coercion. A third commenter wrote, "Hi there, I'm a legal advocate for SA victims and have worked for multiple crisis centers in different states, including Illinois. You have a few options here, but I would start with finding the R Crisis Center for your area through the Illinois Coalition Against SA. These kinds of crisis advocates in Illinois have absolute privilege and can't report or share anything without your permission, so you can feel safe that law enforcement won't be notified unless you want them to be. They'll go over all of the options with you and be able to give you information specific to your area and even meet with you in person to help you make a report, attend to hearings with you, etc. Edit to add, legal advocacy through these crisis centers is free. They aren't attorneys, but they are extremely helpful." The OP then went on to post another update, October 2nd, 2025, nearly 1 month later. Update, my 22-year-old female, birth control was tampered with by my boyfriend, 22-year-old male. I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do. I haven't proofread this. Sorry. So please excuse any screw-ups. So much has happened since I last posted here, as I'm sure you can imagine. Long story short, X's family is a mess. Getting in touch with legal professionals and talking to police has been so overwhelming, but I'm lucky enough to be working with some absolute angels. I can't get into the weeds of all that in this post. It doesn't really look great, but it's hard to say what will happen since everything is so fresh. Courts move at a snail's pace, but if I'm ever in a position to give an update, I will. Now for everything else, I guess. X confessed to messing with my birth control. I have a close childhood friend who my ex took to early in our relationship. Looking back, X definitely had a little bit of a thing for her. I think everyone who knows her kinda does, myself included. She is compassionate, amable, gorgeous, the whole package. Anyone who knows her well knows she is not to be freaked with. Point is, he trusted her a lot. A few hours after I made my post, she and I got together and we schemed. We very gently prodded him over text. He barely bent before he broke. We deliberately made the text messages sound super non-judgmental, like she was on his side. She threw me under the bus a little bit and implied she felt closer to him than to me to really sell the act. I can't go into detail about how the conversation went down, legal crap, but I do have the screenshots and I will definitely be posting them if I can once all of this is over and done with. If I remember to, that is. I don't think X ever would have spilled his guts if she hadn't been in the picture. Friend has been by my side pretty much ever since. I mentioned at the end of my original post that I've been staying with my parents and that they've been gracious enough to help me until I'm back on my feet, no matter how long it takes. I quit my dead-end job, I've been meaning to anyway, and I've been doing school online. Friend brought her mini work-from-home setup and we've both just been sharing a bed in my childhood room most nights. Also, we sorta kissed. Only once. It was nice. I had a big fat crush on her for like the entirety of high school. I don't know what else to say about that. I won't bore you guys with the details since I know it's not what you're here for. I don't want to tell my friends about it yet, so you guys get to hear first. I'm not dying to get into something serious at the moment, but I won't complain if it ends up going somewhere. I think some part of me has known for a while that my last relationship was comp-het. Leaving felt like such a monumental task. In some messed up way, this has been a blessing. I was thrust into a situation where the only reasonable option was to drop him like hot crap, which was kinda long overdue. Parents are also way chiller than I thought they would be. I mentioned in my last post that they're kind of religious, but they chilled out a lot after I moved out. Faith is still a big part of their lives, but they're less into following the book to a T and more into making the world a better place. My dad got really into virtue ethics, and I think it's been good for him. I had a conversation with my mom about everything, and she has been nothing but supportive. We had a girls' day with her, my aunt, my friend, and my sister a couple of days before my appointment. Being surrounded by love made everything easier. Appointment went well, no complications, and everyone made sure I was taken care of while I recovered physically and emotionally. I can't even begin to tell you all how grateful I am. I feel like everything has gone on as well as it possibly could have in the wake of an absolute crap storm. As for X's family, holy crap. This isn't the first time this happened. X's cousin did almost the exact same thing, but his girlfriend, now wife, kept the kid and married the crap bag. I've been talking to her, but I don't want to air out all of her trauma and dirty laundry on the internet. Lots going on for her. If she gives me permission to talk about it here, I might update once the dust settles. I don't have much else to say except to thank you all so incredibly much for giving me the kick in the butt I needed. I've received so much kindness from this community, both in the comments and in DMs. There were so many comments I didn't get the chance to read, but everything I saw was so sweet. Not a single unkind word. I hope you all continue to be such gems. I hope the goodness you've imparted onto my life comes back around. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So even more updates to come, but I have to say, considering where everything started in that first post, the fact that OP can end the second update with thank you, thank you, thank you feels pretty darn good to hear. I think the only thing I'm surprised about is the fact that OP can even get in touch with that ex's cousin's wife. If the family has a history of this behavior, I feel like they would try to make it, as hard as possible to reach out and even connect to somebody like that. I guess I'm getting misguided in my assumptions about how conniving and controlling this family really is because, the boyfriend did offer everything up on a golden platter at the mere receiving a text message from another woman he found attractive. In my mind, it paints a picture of this creepy, controlling family that tries to trap people into their family dynamic, but in reality, they're just a bunch of creepy morons that go around assaulting women. In the comments on the update, one commenter wrote, "Good riddance, happy for you. Losing those 180 pounds feels great." The OP replied, "It certainly does, thank you." Another commenter wrote, "Okay, surprise sapphic love story is definitely what we're here for. Just to clarify, I speak for the entire internet." The OP replied, "Thank you. I don't know about love story just yet, but my fingers are crossed just a tiny bit." Another commenter replied to that saying, "Protect your heart, but that said, she can't get you pregnant. Yay." The OP responded to a downvoted comment regarding her throwaway account and how recently she started to post, writing, "That's fair, I would probably think so too. I made this because I considered posting about my ex quite a while ago. Ex treated me more like a mother than a partner, totally incapable of taking care of himself, irresponsible with house duties, generally leaving everything to me despite us both being busy students with jobs. He played it down a lot whenever I would bring it up, and I believed him. It felt too mundane to post about. I thought I was being dramatic. I've lurked on a few subs on this account since I made it. I do get it though, Reddit is full of slop these days. Hopefully this provides a bit more clarity." The OP responds to a longer comment regarding book recommendations and asking how she's doing physically, mentally, and emotionally, writing, "I'll definitely be checking out both of those books. You're so kind. I'm doing as alright as I possibly could be. Still busy with school. I think I'd be drowning if I hadn't quit my job. I'm fairly sure the only thing keeping me afloat right now is constantly being surrounded by people. If I were alone, it would be a much different story. I don't really feel safe when I'm home alone, and it's hard for me to leave without one of my siblings, friends, or parents. I'm not quite ready for something like therapy yet. Wounds are still too fresh. Sleep was definitely a hurdle at the beginning, but I think I'm mostly past it now. The first few nights after I left, I physically could not sleep for more than an hour and a half at a time. I was so tired, but my body just wouldn't let me rest. I would wake up in a cold sweat, and for some reason a really stuffed nose. This had never happened to me before. every time I managed to drift off. I had really vivid, anxious dreams that usually involved falling from a great height at the end, and then I would wake up when I hit the ground. Not sure how much sense that made. They're less and less frequent every day, and now at least I can get back to sleep pretty quickly most of the time. Occasionally, if it's really bad, I smoke a little bit of weed. Usually that knocks me out. Never enough to become dependent though. I'm too scared of that. Having my friend here helps. I definitely sleep a lot deeper when she stays the night. Even when she doesn't though, just knowing that my parents are home makes me feel safe enough to sleep. All told, I'm slowly starting to feel like a person again. Things aren't perfect and peachy and normal, but hey, they rarely are. I'm doing alright, thank you again. And finally, the OP replying to a comment on them being safe and away from their ex, they wrote, "Yeah, I'm safe, thanks for asking. I haven't blocked him in case he says anything incriminating. So far, the texts and voicemails have just been begging and pleading for me to hear him out and try to work through this with him, etc. No threats of violence, thankfully. I've heard through the grapevine that he's gone off the rails a little bit. He got fired from his job, server at a kinda fancy restaurant, for freaking out customers, lingering around tables and making intense eye contact and asking inappropriate questions. I have a friend in one of his classes, and he's shown up wearing extremely formal attire for some reason. I really hope he gets some help for the sake of everyone around him, as much as I hate him. He's not violent for the time being, but I feel like he's acting out in strange ways and it could go south quickly." The OP then goes on to post another new update on my legal situation in case anyone is curious, plus small update on X's cousin, February 25th, 2026, 4.5 months later from update number 1. Short recap, X intentionally got me pregnant without my consent. I pressed charges and filed a civil suit against my ex just over 4 months ago, about a month after everything happened. I'll start with some good news. The civil suit was settled out of court in mediation. It was over almost as quickly as it began, presumably because that family didn't want to deal with my butt any more than they already had to. I will be receiving a very fat chunk of change in the near future. There was a lot of evidence in my favor. Maybe a pro tip: don't block someone's phone number or social media if you're taking them to court. I didn't engage with him at all, just let the texts and voicemails pile up. X's dad is apparently very wealthy. I knew he was well off, but my ex didn't receive any assistance from him while we were together. Not even when we were struggling. Nothing I knew of, at least. X's parents lived in a pretty modest, biggish place. They had nice things, but I had absolutely no clue the extent to which his dad was freaking loaded. After I pressed charges, it took approximately 1 million years for my case to be handed over to a prosecutor. Police were extremely unhelpful. Everyone I spoke to was nice enough, but I felt like I wasn't taken seriously at all. So much time and effort and heartache just for the prosecutor to drop charges. My attorney told me from the start that this was pretty likely. Birth control sabotage doesn't fit neatly into Illinois law. I think most reasonable people would consider what happened to me reproductive abuse or coercion, but reproductive coercion here was legally defined in an act that, in essence, allows people to sue if they were coerced into having an abortion. Attorney explained that what happened to me is a form of SA. I was incapable of consenting. Legal term? I couldn't adequately assess the situation because my ex knowingly and willingly withheld information from me. That information being, of course, that he freaked with my birth control. Something like that. A lot of this crap goes over my head. I felt like it was pretty freaking cut and dry, but apparently the prosecutor didn't think so. Freak me, I guess. Might be able to refile or something, but I truly do not wanna. This has been so exhausting. I'm ready for it to be over. X was a perfect angel with a rich daddy, going to a nice college, with nothing on his record. I can't say I didn't expect this. I'm still so freaking angry. I mentioned in my update on relationship advice that X's cousin did pretty much the exact same thing. I'll refer to X's cousin as Mark, and his soon-to-be ex-wife is Kathy, so I don't confuse myself and the maybe 3 people who end up reading this. If you're reading, hi, I hope you're having a nice day. It was a mess. X confessed over text to my current girlfriend. His confession also implicated Mark. Basically, X claimed that the whole ploy was his mom's idea. Mom claimed she got the idea from her sister. Her sister had no excuse. Kathy said everything clicked into place after this. When I was with X, his mom would be making off-putting comments about how we ought to have a kid. That surely X would clean up his behavior and magically become responsible or 1,000 other things if we just had a kid. Aunt said similar things to Kathy and Mark. I'm not totally clear on how Aunt and Mark messed with Kathy's contraceptives. Kathy said she wasn't either, and she didn't want to talk about it. Mark fessed up. Kathy wasn't lucky as I was. She ended up keeping the kid and marrying Mark, following constant pressure from his family. She's divorcing Mark. I won't share much here since it's not my dirty laundry to air out, but it's going well for her. Apparently, Mark has been very compliant. It helps, of course, that his cousin kind of ratted on him. I'm still mutuals with Kathy on Instagram, but we don't talk much these days. She seems to be doing a lot better. Obligatory apology for grammar and spelling errors. So that was the final update as of so far, but all in all, still relatively positive. I mean, I wish, and I'm probably not alone in this, that OP was able to get this guy held legally accountable for these horrendous things that he did. At least if anything, OP served as an inspiration for Kathy to leave that X's cousin who did the exact same thing apparently. I guess if anything, it just goes to show that there's still very weak links in the legal system that need to be considered and actually dealt with by the governmental bodies in whichever areas. The fact that somebody can secretly change your pills around and impregnate you without your consent, and a prosecutor just has to go, well, there's nothing you can really legally do here, is a crazy thing to realize. Granted, it depends on where you live. In the comments on the update, one commenter wrote, "Glad to hear things are going better for you. Thanks for the update. The way things seem to be unfolding, it won't be long for all of them to show how sick and terrible they truly are. How's the kitty?" The OP had previously attached a cat tax to another one of their previous posts. I'll put the picture of the cat tax up on the screen. The OP replied, their only comment on this latest update, "Thank you. Kitty is doing great. Settled in very easily, and Via said she's a good housekeeping buddy while I'm off at work. She looks out the window sometimes and we feel like she really wants to go outside, so we're looking at harnesses for maybe taking her on walks right now." I think I mentioned to someone on here a while back, but X kind of went off the deep end. I guess he couldn't keep the mask on forever. I hope you have a nice day. And on the whole saga, a user named Tiny Sydney left a comment writing, "The prosecutor may have had a good notion that getting someone convicted for this would be an uphill battle, even with strong evidence, or could be just a crap bag. Either or. Glad the OP got the heck out though." Another user named Queen Cheetah replied to that saying, "As a gal from Illinois, it's probably a bit of both. We have some real scumbags in high places, and no one wants to bother changing our broke butt reproductive coercion-based non-laws." Another user named Frolic and Detour wrote, "It's because states have not criminalized reproductive coercion, no matter what Reddit advice givers say. It's illegal in the UK, but not here. Even only California, last time I checked, has criminalized stealthing, and a couple more states have created a right to sue over it. There's a bill in the US Congress currently to create a right to sue over reproductive coercion nationwide, but no one appears to be in a hurry to criminalize it." Another user named Captain Delicious Pants wrote, "Babies do not freaking fix anything, not people and not relationships. Like, why the freak are you putting that kind of pressure on a guy who doesn't even have a full skeleton?" A user named Relly Jean replied to that saying, "I don't think the point was for the baby to fix anything. I think the point was for the baby to force her to stay with him instead of her leaving his worthless butt." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear some more crazy stories full of updates, why not check out that video on the left of the screen right now? Or if you missed my latest video, you can check that out on the right of the screen. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.